Good morning, guys. Christmas a few days away. Today's episode, we're going to start by recapping the Boston Celtics' recent games. Obviously, the win over the Knicks, loss against Philly being their most recent. We're going to touch on, I don't want to touch too much on trades just because that's everywhere, but Chris Forsberg had a recent suggestion around Dennis Schroder. I want to touch on that a little bit. And then finally, I want to end the video just talking about the current state of the Celtics and more importantly, just the state of the NBA right now. Let's get to it next, guys. Alrighty, guys. Good morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. Jags to Riches, James Peters, thank you so much for your time. Very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate. Thank you so much for being here. Boston Celtics. Oh, man. Last 4 games, 2-2. Beautiful win over the Bucks, 117-103. Then they go and lose against the Warriors. Steph Curry, 111-107. Then they go beat the Knicks, 114-107, as you see here. And then finally, last night, the Sixers, 108-103 loss. I could spend time on every one of those games. I'm not. Let's just summarize. Milwaukee, beautiful, maybe the best basketball we've seen from them all year. Just crisp ball movement, passing, the right plays. Excellent win. Followed it up against Golden State. First quarter was Steph Curry. Second quarter was Andrew Wiggins. Third quarter, we came back. Fourth quarter, we made it a close game and then pretty much lost there at the end. Then, obviously, the Knicks. And before I even say anything about that, I'll finish today's segment about health and safety, but in each of these games, guys, we've been down several players, 6 players. You're talking, and I'm talking Schroder missing games, Al, Rob, Grant, 4 huge, very crucial parts of our rotation. And then even like the Jabaris and, in the world where you're having to call up your players, our Sam Hausers and all of those guys are also out. So we're having to sign CJ Miles. But looking at the Knicks game, guys, we'll start right there. Like I said, each team was missing exactly 6 players. Both teams only played 8. You'll see when we go to the box score. No Schroder, no Al, no Grant, no Romeo. Romeo actually took the elbow in the Bucks, or who elbowed Romeo? Damn, James. Somebody help me out. Who elbowed Romeo? Bobby Portis, Giannis. It was one of those games. I feel like it's the Bucks. It might have been Golden State, but regardless, no Romeo. He was out in this game as well. You see it right here. Richardson has season high 27 points. He saved us this game, guys. Speaking of Josh, he has been phenomenal recently. We'll get to him a little bit more in a minute, but excuse me. This is going to probably start chirping in a second. Let's see if we can beat it. Boop. All right. Kemba Walker, guys. I mean, I love him. You love him. This was his first game since November 26th, my birthday. And he came out on fire. 37 minutes. He had 29 points. The man had 5 threes, 6 boards, 3 assists. He was phenomenal. Evan Fournier with 32. Julius with 20. Excuse me. But, yeah, it was pretty much Kemba. I forgot who actually said the quote, but I thought it was perfectly said. Kemba getting revenge on 2 teams, the Knicks for not playing him, and then the Celtics. So, that was a game. We were up by 15 at halftime. We were up by 14, after the first. And it was just one of those things where the Knicks fought back to the point where it was a close game in the fourth. They had the lead until Josh Richardson, late in the fourth, a 3-pointer, gave us a 2-point lead. And we pretty much, never lost it again. He actually also closed the game out with that corner 3 with about 30 seconds left. Marcus Smart, He was nowhere to be found that night. That got us back to 500. Just looking at my notes. Yeah, guys. So, two people I really want to talk about in this one. We'll talk about the starters quickly. You know, Tatum, 25, 3 for 13 from 3. JB, 23. But this game was pretty much about two guys. Again, look, 8-man rotation. Josh Richardson with 27 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 5 for 7 from 3. And then Peyton Pritchard with 16 points off the bench, 28 minutes, 4 for 7 from 3. Look at these two. 9 for 14, 6 for 10. They saved us this game. Like I said, I could probably go on, but it was just how good those two have been playing, and you'll very quickly see that trend as we transition over to the next game. But yeah, I mean, Jay Rich, he was the story of the game. You know, he actually had missed some time recently. You know, before ultimately coming back, and I want to say the Golden State game or whatnot, but he's been phenomenal recently, guys. You see all the people we're missing. That was a big win for us, and it was an ugly win. It was a shitty win, but a win is a win. You know, ugly, sloppy, you know, nothing like the Milwaukee game where it was the smooth passing ball movement. This was more ISO, but regardless, a win is a win. So, moving on. 76ers. Excuse me. Lost 108 to 103, and you see it. Embiid scores 41 points. Now, to the box score. Excuse me, just trying to make sure this doesn't start chirping. Pause. Now, right off the bat, Embiid again, 41 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. You had Seth Curry with 26, 7 assists, 3 for 3 from 3. Tobias with 25 and 7. From our side, it was Jaylen Brown with 30. He played like shit on the defensive end, but still, 30 points. Smart, Freedom both with 15. Tatum played like shit, 0 for 3. 17 points. And again, guys, you'll hear me often say this. It's if you go back and look at our schedule, excuse me as I transition back. If you go back and look at our schedule and start actually paying attention to the losses, you'll see that almost all of them were terrible shooting nights. And it's just like if you would have done this, and normally it goes to Tatum, you win that game. That's a 5-point loss in a game they should have lost. They had that game up until the very, very end. Now, again, we had to start Enes Freedom based on Al and Rob being out. Think of that. Enes Freedom was our starter. Now, he did have, like 15 points, 11 rebounds, something along those lines. I mean, I will say one thing about that is I heard it from multiple sources. I believe my man John Karalis, and forgive me, guys. Much love. Shout out to John Karalis. He was on Trust the Podcast, episode 8 with me and B Smooth, me and Bobby. And it was without question the best episode we've had, the most fun I've had in my entire time on YouTube, and it was great. If you haven't checked it out, if you've not seen anything else with me in it, definitely go see that. That's going to be on B Smooth ENT, and it is Trust the Podcast, episode 8 with John Karalis. Shout out to you, John. Much love, respect. Thank you so much again, sir. It was an honor. I heard John, and I believe it was either Scal or Perk, say, you brought Enes in for this reason, as in for playing in these games against Joel. I understand what they mean when it comes to him being, a 7-footer, 250, 260, a big body. I get that. But Enes is definitely not ever been known for his defense, guys. What was that stat they gave? Perk gave it something 60+% of the time people score on him in every facet, whether it's pick and roll, isolation, like what? So I don't know why it was expected that this man would be able to come in and slow down Embiid. I think the exact opposite. It was Horford that was brought in. We're not just to stop Embiid, obviously. That was an excellent trade. We won that trade, clearing away. It was very needed based on Kemba's salary. I'm not going to get into all that now. Obviously, we won that trade. Al was known as an Embiid stopper, and if you go watch that first game, you'll see exactly what I mean. So not having him or Rob are that'd be our 1A, 1B when it comes to our bigs. Now, in addition to that, once again, the Celtics shot 25.9%, 26% from three. Defensive mistakes, most of them late. Tatum's off, only has 17, missing all these players. Now, the Sixers were missing Maxey, Drummond's, but as you can see, guys, like, they still had Harris and Embiid, Curry, Green, Thibault, like them, Shake Milton there, I believe they were missing. So they not quite as much as the Celtics, but some key contributors without question. Two things that I would like to touch on about this game. First, one other point just to make. The Sixers bench only had 1 point scoring. It was all their starters scored it was 107 points scored by their starters. 1 point by their bench. But to me, the first thing I would like to just kind of go on is the double big. And this is something that I have been talking about since well before the season even started. One of my first episodes I ever did was a collab with Adam Taylor. Shout out to you, Adam. We did an episode prior to the season. This was off season. I was doing a lot of videos. I was titling like camp battles, like just, matchups that were intriguing. Smart versus Schroder, Richardson versus Nesmith and Langford. But the main one we did and focused on in me and Adam's episode. Adam was also a guest, our first ever guest on Trust the Podcast, I believe episode 4. Go check that out. Go subscribe to him, John, Bobby, Manning, every single person we've ever had on the show. Y'all are goats, man. Thank you so much. But you'll see that me and him focused a lot of our time on that exact question, the double big. Because I thought that going into this season, that was let's say, the one with the biggest question mark, or I just wasn't sure who starts out of Al, who's on the bench, what are they going to do? Because remember, before then, we didn't even know during this episode it was double big. We were still deciding on who was going to start. My point was start Rob so that you can finish the game with Al. He was vice versa, start with Al. That way you get Rob with us. But we both did discuss the double big as a potential. We both said the exact same thing, I believe. It was definitely could work. Wouldn't mind seeing it. And since then, we've been proven that, but we both said it's a matter of bench depth. That is the only issue that we have with it. It's because if you are putting Rob and Al out there together, that means you are without question getting a dose of Enes Kanter, who now is Enes Freedom. Or, God forbid, the injury-prone Rob or the 35-6-year-old Al Horford misses some time, like they have already. He is your next man up. That is why you always hear me, talking about the need for a big, wanting to get a big in here. It's because of the depth. It's because you have to turn to an Enes Freedom who did everything he could, 15 and 11 in 40 minutes, while getting dogged out by Embiid. And let's be clear, Embiid wasn't, bullying him down low. His shot was just on, guys. His 20, he was on. Period. But that, to me, again, you'll always hear me saying at one point we'll transition when we start talking about Schroder and trades. I'll again make the point that I would like to see him go. And if he goes, I want to see a big that can shoot ideally come in, because we need help there. We need bench depth at the front court position. That was one big takeaway from this loss. And the other thing, there was a play, and it was, you'll remember exactly what I'm talking about. It was a Danny Green 3. Essentially, Embiid had it down low, passed it to Curry. Curry faked, passed it to a wide open Danny Green, which was a huge bucket, huge 3 for them. You'll know exactly the sequence I'm talking about. And it's nothing to do with Danny Green. It's all about Seth Curry. My point is the importance and the power of true shooters on your team. Curry had 26 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, was perfect, 100%, 3 from 3 from three-pointer, one of the best three-pointers in the league. We know that. The power of him in that play said it all. Embiid kicked it to him, and everyone just collapsed on him hard. They completely forgot about the other career 40%, multiple time champion, 20 feet away. And that is because of how just deadly and prestigious he is. We don't have that, guys. Like that's just, we have a 45% Grant Williams, which is just mind-blowing to even say that out loud. And now my man Josh Richardson is in the 40% club. That's it. That is the only, I want to say Jalen's at like 38, somewhere around there. And then other than that, guys, pretty much the entire team is below 35%. I think Dennis is hovering around, and a few people hovering, but you never see that type of respect, man. That play just let me know the true importance of what a good shooter means, right? 2-2 in our last 4, guys. Got the Cavs coming up tonight. We got the Bucks on Christmas Day. So, moving on. Our man, Chris Forsberg. You see right here. All right, I'll just go with this. So basically, here's a snippet from the article. Chris Forsberg mentions DeLon Wright and Trey Burke as Dennis Schroder targets. Now, I think this was one of the Houdini trades, fan side. Shout out to both of y'all. So, I don't want to spend too much time on this, guys, because again, there are several websites that specialize in trades, and it's every day I could make a video every day about different trade proposals and this and that, and I quickly seen how much fluff is just behind all that. But there are certain people in the media that when they speak on it, you kind of pay attention a little bit more just because of who they are, who they speak to, their connections. Like, it makes it a little bit more intriguing, right? So Chris Forsberg, as you've seen, he cited Trey Burke and DeLon Wright for Schroder. Well, first off, who are these guys? Right off the bat, both of them, 29 years old. Trey Burke from the Dallas Mavericks. DeLon Wright playing with the Atlanta Hawks. DeLon right now averaging 3 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's playing about 14 minutes a game. He's averaging 35% from 3, and he's making about $8.5 million on an expiring. Now, this is a down year because the last 3 years, you'd see he's averaged closer to about 10, 4, and 4, while shooting between 37, 38, 39% from 3. Trey Burke, right now, playing about 13 minutes a game for Dallas. He's averaging 8 points, 2 assists, shooting 40% from 3 on 2+ attempts. He's making $3 million on an expiring. Now, both of these guys have had success, in the past, more than what they're doing this current season, I should say. You've seen Burke, and with the Knicks and even the Mavericks, he's put up some good, 12 points. They've had some good run, man. They're definitely valuable players, and I could understand in the intrigue behind both of them. Here's my issue with this trade. 1, they're both on expirings. I would like to avoid that if all possible. 2, they're both point guards. So it's like, I get maybe it's like you would have a better chance to re-sign one of those guys more realistically. You could afford them. I get all that, but it's, if I'm trading Dennis Schroder, guys, and you'll hear me say this person's name, and I'm going to say this shit until Brad hears me. It's for a Christian Wood type. I want to package it for a big like that. If not, Christian Wood, James, relax. Kelly Olynyk, Maxi Kleber, guys like that. For example, if the trade was more like Trey Burke, Maxi Kleber for Juancho and Dennis, well, then maybe we could talk. Who's Maxi Kleber, James? It's ridiculous. He's averaging about 20+ minutes a game, averaging 8, 6, and guess what? Is a stretch 3, about 38% on 4 attempts. 6'10", 6'11", 240, 250, excellent rebounder. Also 29 years old. What a coincidence. So that type of player is what I mean. Just like, Kelly Olynyk, guys. I mean, you don't need me to tell you who Kelly O is, but I mean, he's 30 now. I mean, he's making $12 million, 6'11", 7-foot stretch. 12 points, 6 rebounds, mid-30s from 3. He's on multiple years. Guys like that, a big. Why? Why would you want? Because what did I say? Front court depth is one of my biggest concerns. Shooting. And then if I'm trading Schroder, it is to get Peyton Pritchard the minutes that man deserves. Matter of fact, while we do this, where is Peyton at? Here is the this current season's stats. Peyton Pritchard's averaging 10 minutes a game, okay? If you traded Schroder, who's averaging 33 minutes a game, for Trey Burke or one of those guys who are only averaging 13, 15, that's 20, that's 15, those 15 to 20 additional minutes that you could potentially give to Peyton. Now he's at from 10 and 11 to the mid-20s. Maybe it's not that, extreme, but he should without question be playing twice as much minutes as he's playing right now. He's playing 11. I'd like to see him playing closer to 20, between 20 and 22. That's where Peyton should be. Right where you see Grant. Look at Grant, 22. Romeo, 18. Where's little Aaron at? Aaron's at 10. See, both of these boys, man. All right. So if I'm trading Dennis, it is to get my youth and younger, these guys that just flash potential. We have seen it from both of them when they have these opportunities, especially Peyton. It is to get them their minutes while also, like I said, if they were able to send out Schroder, Wancho, 2-3 first, and Romeo Langford for Christian Wood, let's say, right? Now you just got Peyton Pritchard more minutes, you've got front court depth, and you've got shooting that comes from a big. Or if they sent him out and got back a Kelly Olynyk, guys like that, man, that's all I'm saying. Those type of players that could potentially check multiple boxes. Because if you go out and get a Trey Burke, DeLon Wright, who else have we talked about? Monte Morris, any of those kind of guys, you're in the exact same spot, man. Literally, and most of these guys, they're offering or unexpiring, so you're literally in the exact same spot. So my point being, it's if I'm trading Schroder, I'd like it to be for a forward or a big, somebody that's more in the front court, or at the bare minimum, not a point guard. We've talked of the Terrence Rosses, Doug McDermott's of the world. Guys like that, I'm completely okay with as well, because again, that gets Peyton more minutes. I think he is a backup point guard. I really do. And it gets Marcus out of this combo guard bullshit, man. He's been asked to do this weird position for too long. He can't do it. That's a whole nother thing. So we've talked about the Dame Lillards, the Sabonis's, the DeJounte Murray, the Christian Woods. We've talked all the rumors, the Portland breakup, the Pacers blowing it up. Recently, they've been talking about the Sacramento Kings. I've heard De'Aaron Fox mentioned recently. Buddy Hield's a very popular one. Harrison Barnes has been popular since last year. Richaun Holmes is another one that I don't think's talked about enough. I don't know why. Like that, you want to talk about an affordable guy? He's making $11 million for the next 3 years. I think averages 14 and 10. Could be your backup big, you know what I mean? So we've basically hit on all the current rumors, guys, and I'll continue to touch on them, but it's just one of those things, until something actually happens, when a credible source like a Forsberg, the Karalis, one of those bigger names drop something, I'll probably, pick it up, but otherwise. Finally, I want to end the video, and apologies, it's a little longer, but just talking about the state of the NBA and the state of the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics 15 wins, 16 losses, currently in the 9th seed. I pretty much told you how they close out, this month with the Cavs, Bucks. Then they got the Timberwolves, Clippers, Suns, Mavericks, and then not Mavericks, Magic. Magic actually started 2022, and January is a much, much easier month. So if we can keep it right around 500, or maybe even go into January above 500, we'd be in a beautiful place. Finally, guys, it's the health and safety protocol. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Pandemic, C word. So right now, guys, we're missing, all these key players. I mean, these last several games, you're playing Philly without Allen, Rob, Grant, and it's multiple teams. That Knicks game, both teams were missing 6 players. It's around the league. There was a chart I should have held on to it to show you. It was a chart showing spikes this year, and that the last 2 weeks the spike went all the way up for cases in the NBA. We've heard rumors of them potentially going on a week or a 2-week hiatus. Recently, I just seen this morning that Silva's saying we're not going anywhere. There was a great point made recently where it's kind of is it really fair to these teams that have to keep signing, bringing up, G League or signing 10-day contracts that are taking losses because, 40% of their guys are out, But again, everyone's kind of dealing with it. Celtics just had to sign CJ Miles. So it would have kind of been nice to see them grab IT, man. The Lakers grabbed him. But just with everything going on with the 10-day contracts, because they do not count against you. They don't count against your cap or anything like that. So that would have just kind of been cool. But otherwise, guys, I don't think the NBA ends up getting canceled or anything like that. I cannot wait for it to go back to, I guess, normal as possible. But this kind of seems like the way it has been for the last several years and doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. So I hope everyone has an incredible holiday, a very Merry Christmas, or whatever it is that you and your family celebrate. We got a big game tonight to get back to 500 against the Cavs, who are 1-1 against on the year, and then we got to play the Bucks on Christmas Day. So that would be nice, man, to get those 2 wins. Trust the Podcast, episode 9, I believe we're going to be doing at some point Friday. I believe Guy Boston, Evan, will be on. Obviously, me and my brother co-host B Smooth. Again, thank you, John Karalis, Bobby Manning, Adam Taylor, everyone that has come on to the channel, anyone that has invested any of your time. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. I hope you get whatever it is you want for Christmas, guys. Jags to Riches, James Peters, thank you so much. Have an incredible rest of your day.